Hey all, when we're looking for historical remnants, sometimes they're pretty obvious, they jump right out at you, and sometimes they don't. Sometimes they're well hidden and easily overlooked. We're going to see examples of both of those today. This is Forest County Outback number 11, Traces of the Past. Today we're on the lower end of Beaver Run, where it's crisscrossed several times by the 666, which, if you're not familiar with this area, that is State Route 666. Yes, the Devil's Highway. Oh yeah. But there's a stretch here of about a mile, and there's remnants spanning a period of about 90 years. And some of them, like I said, obvious, some not so much. What we're standing on right now is pretty obvious. This is the grade of the old Hickory Valley Railroad. Why it was called the Hickory Valley when it runs up Beaver Valley, I don't know. This was constructed by Wheeler and Duesenberry in the mid-1890s, and it operated until the mid-1930s. So it spanned about 40 years, which for a logging railroad was quite a pretty good run. And it was well constructed. It was a main line. It ran from the mills in Endeavor up to a place called McDonald, where there was a switchback. It climbed over the mountain and crossed the summit a few hundred yards in the woods behind my house, went down Ross Run and connected to the Sheffield and Tynesta along Tynesta Creek. And it was used to haul logs and haul lumber out from like the Newtown Mill and some of Collins Mills further up the creek, and to haul freight in and out and passengers. So as I said, this is a well-built line. Most of the logging spurs were pretty lightly built. They were only used for a short period of time, a few months, maybe a year or so, but like I said, this was in use for about 40 years. Look at this area right now. It's hard to believe the timber that was taken out of here. Wheeler and Duesenberry, along with some other operators in this area, particularly Teddy Collins, specialized in long timbers, bridge timbers and ship masts, and sometimes they took trees out of here, timbers, logs that were over 100 feet long. And it's just, to look around here now, it's just amazing to think that they did that. This scene is in the Beaver Valley, in the area where we're filming. I've been doing a segment at the end of the video where I talk about some odds and ends, and I forget to mention it at the beginning, but today it's going to be about what this channel is and what it is not. Now, there was a sawmill further upstream here, which I've looked for. I've never been able to find any sign of it. That's that thing I talked about where the signs are not obvious. But the only thing I've ever found might be related to it is on this gravel bar a couple years ago, I found one small piece of a broken crock. So there's the railroad grade. This is engine number 5 that they bought specifically for the Beaver Valley run. Now, according to my research, there should have been a couple of houses over in that area. And I can't find any definite signs, but it looks like there was some kind of something going on in that area, and the railroad grade may have covered up part of it. But the sawmill should have been over in that area across the creek in that flat. And like I said, I haven't found any sign of it, but we've got this little bit of snow on the ground. It might bring out some details. Now, that sawmill was operated by Hamilton Stowe, and it shows up on the 1865 map. Stowe was operating in this area back in the late 1840s, so this would have predated the railroad by quite a few years here. And Stowe moved to Cincinnati in 1868. He was involved with Wheeler and Duesenberry for a while, and then they parted ways. It was not a amicable separation, and he left the area shortly after that. But we're going to go over and take a look around, see if we can find any of those little easily overlooked signs. So we're on that flat. We're looking back towards the railroad grade, and see how the bank was reinforced over there. The only thing I've seen that might possibly be an indication of that sawmill was this area right here. And to look at it, it's kind of a stretch, but it looks like it may have possibly been a raceway. We're talking a mill that's been gone for 170 years almost. So, I mean, on one hand I feel it's a possibility, on the other hand I feel it's kind of a stretch. But you see how it cuts through this higher ground here? And it's kind of like a raised platform almost over here. And it comes down to this area. It looks like it could have been a wheel pit. Like I said, it could be a stretch. But then we come down further here, like this would be possibly be the tail race. So, I guess the conclusion we can come to is, don't know. Maybe. Maybe not. So we're gonna move on upstream and look at some other things. I have a lot of good outtakes here. Stream now, and we've come to the location of another one of those easily overlooked sites. And I have two independent sources that place a shingle mill here between 1876 and 1881. Shingle mills are notoriously hard to track down because they were very small operations, they didn't last very long, and they left little behind. But we can place it here because I said I have two sources placing it here, and for evidence, we have a raceway. So Beaver Run is on up there, but you can see how this channel was cut. I mean, that was cut. And as I said, I have two sources, and they placed that shingle mill in exactly this spot. And we have some other lumps and bumps here, and the tail race going out that way. Also, to confirm this, we have, okay, let's move the thing here. We have this. This is a wagon road, and that wagon road was probably established in the late 1840s, 1850s, and it's very easy to trace, and it went at least 7 miles up Beaver Valley. It went from East Hickory through here to Collins Beaver Valley Mill, past that to the Yellowhammer Sawmill, which I did a video on that one. I'm not sure the number, might have been 3 or 4, and continued on there to the town of Braceville, which was video number 2, and actually beyond Braceville. I don't know how far it went. That would actually be a good hike someday, to trace that road out till the very end. But this wagon road predated the railroad, and it goes on over that way. And this would have been a pretty busy thoroughfare, because you had the mills up here sending lumber down to sending lumber out and taking supplies in. So yeah. But anyhow, like I said, we've got the evidence for this one here, but like I said, you might, if you didn't know what you were looking for, you might very well walk by it and not realize what it was. Well, this wagon road is on all the maps from that time period, and location on the maps compared to the location on the ground is really spot on. I bet this was a real blast in mud season. This is the area known as McDonald, and Hickory Valley came up over there in the woods, and then there was a switch here and it went up over the mountain from here. There were a couple houses here which there's no sign of now, probably under the road, but back over here was the location of a spring. So that's looking downstream. And then the grade continued on up that way. And the dead ended 100 yards or so up there. They would run the trains out on that track, and then they would throw a switch. And they would come up and take this track here. Went over to a bridge across Beaver Run and on up the mountain. This is shay number 2 that was used on log trains in the Beaver Valley area. Unfortunately, I have not been able to find any photos of this trestle. I'm sure they exist somewhere. There are some old timbers here. In fact, we're standing on one, but there's one going across out into the creek. I'm always fascinated to see how they built these. You can see these depressions in the ground. That's where they would have put the foundation. Would have been a timber on the bottom there. There's a foundation for the trestle, the section they called the bent. And we look up that way, and that's the grade going up over the mountain. So this is the last stop on our trip today, and the area behind me was the site of a CCC camp. Now, if you're not familiar with that, especially European viewers, I actually have subscribers from the UK. I think that's pretty cool. What it stood for was Civilian Conservation Corps. This was a program during the Depression of the 30s that would put unemployed young men to work, give them some educational opportunities and job skills, and pump some money back into the economy. So these camps, this was a nationwide program, and the camps were set up in rural areas run by Army officers. So they did reforestation work, erosion control, fought forest fires, built roads, built infrastructure. A lot of the Pennsylvania state parks, cabins, and picnic shelters and that are a legacy of the CCC. In fact, 3 of my uncles did work for the CCC. They worked in, one of them worked in Grand Canyon National Park and he worked on the Bright Angel Trail, and 2 of the others worked in Grand Teton in Wyoming. They built some cabins and a bridge in that, which are actually still in use today. I think that's a pretty cool legacy to leave behind. So this camp was kind of weird. It was built, completed, and then it was only occupied for 2 weeks. And I'm not sure why. I haven't been able to determine what happened. But when the camps were done, when they were done with the camps, they tore most of them down, and they were really leave no trace. So we'll take a walk over there. There's not a whole lot to see, because when they were done, they pretty much cleaned it up good. So this is it. When they were done, they demolished everything, replanted it, and I mean, this is part of the driveway, but I've been over here before, and that's about all you can find. This is a photo of the actual camp that was there. Now, during the Second World War, many of these CCC camps were used to house prisoners. The camp we looked at was not one of them. By 1938, it had been dismantled. It was gone. There is another camp over by Doring that did house prisoners, and we'll do a video on that at a later date. Now, I also mentioned the wagon road going several miles up Beaver Run to the site of Holbrook's Yellowhammer Sawmill and the town of Braceville. I've done videos on both those sites. I will put links on the end screen to those. And I guess that about wraps it up, except we've got do have some outtakes, and I want to talk about what this channel is about and what it's not about. Because I've gotten a few messages. So what this channel is about is history, specifically the history of Forest County, Pennsylvania, and the immediate surrounding area. That is the entire focus of this channel. It's the reasons for its existence. Now, I'll be doing some videos outside the area, but they'll be related to events here, it's to give some background and context. And this is real history. When I'm preparing to do a video, I will research a subject as thoroughly as I can, and I try to present fact-based information that I can verify. If I have to speculate on something, I'll tell you it's speculation. Okay. Now, I'm not a professional historian. I'm not a researcher by training. So, you know, sometimes I miss things. Sometimes I misinterpret things. Sometimes I even get things wrong. Okay. I know. Let that sink in for a minute. I'm shocked by it too, but it happens. So when that does happen, I do try to correct any misinformation that I put out there. But like I said, this is real history. It's serious history. What we do not do is promotions for tourism or businesses. This is not the Chamber of Commerce. Okay. I don't do sensationalist type videos. I don't manufacture needless controversy looking to get views. I don't do aliens, UFOs, conspiracy theories, or supernatural stuff. And, you know, while I know it's very popular right now and we get a lot of views, I do not do Bigfoot videos. So if that's the type of stuff you want, there's other channels. If you're looking for serious history, then this is the channel where you should be. And you should also like, subscribe, share, and comment. So you might want to repeat that. Like, subscribe, share, comment. It's like a mantra. It'll help you focus and do the right thing, which is to like, subscribe, share, and comment on this channel. So, next time, I'll see you there later. A site of one of those easily overlooked relics. And this is the site of a shingle mill.